In terms of why, or maybe a more sort of academic reason as to what inspired me to put this collection of essays together, I have to read something from Sri Aurobindo, from a letter that many of you may already know about this. This is a letter that he had written to his brother in April 1920. And he coined a term which is very interesting and says a lot about, he called it as an ailment. I mean, it's a disease in a sense. So he said, and I quote, "I believe that the main cause of India's weakness is not subjection, nor poverty, nor a lack of spirituality or dharma, but a diminution of thought power, the spread of ignorance in the motherland of knowledge. Everywhere I see an inability or unwillingness to think, incapacity of thought or thought phobia." He put that in quotes. So this word thought phobia and inability or unwillingness to think, incapacity of thought, these things kind of I've spent a lot of time reflecting on these, and to me it sort of like comes down to this laziness, this mental laziness, the unwillingness to think. What really has happened to us that we are so lazy that thinking would take effort, so we don't think. So that is what I sort of like, my why of what led me to the kind of essays, the kind of topics that I've covered. That if Indians need to, if Indians would start thinking, if we start thinking, how would we understand our culture? How would we understand our society? Will this be the same way as we see on Arnab Goswami's TV debates kind of level, that thing? Or on, the Twitter wars between how India is represented or India is understood? Or is there a deeper way to understand? So this idea that, we really need to overcome this disease called thought phobia was something I was inspired with. And that's how in the prologue I start off with that whatever number of voices we can get that can come out are required. And what I understand, having been sort of studying the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother over the last 15-20 years or so, is that there is still a very futuristic vision that Sri Aurobindo and Mother gave us to understand our society and culture, which many of the popular voices that are coming out in this intellectual renaissance of India are still not there. So there is a tendency to either reject all the Western influence that comes out and to yearn for that golden age of the past. That is never happening. We are never going back. We have to move to the future, and West cannot be taken out of the equation. That imprint has been left on Indian collective psyche. So with that premise, when I started digging more into Sri Aurobindo's work and looking at some of the contemporary phenomenon, that has been my approach to these essays.